I already threw in my coin. That's the only kind of superstitious thing I still do anymore. All that OCD stuff, that all went away. All that, I better knock wood, or I'm gonna jinx something. All that stuff went away. You know, once you start to get an idea of how things actually work, you realize that it don't work like that. A lot of stuff stopped when I started getting more serious and less of a hobbyist into the metaphysical. Well, actually, I'm still a hobbyist. It's not like I'm getting paid to do this. But a lot of things changed. Drugs being one of them. I stopped doing drugs. Luckily, I wasn't addicted to anything. But if you came by my house and you had something, I wasn't gonna run. But yeah, I don't do anything like that anymore. Haven't drank in a long time. That was another thing that kind of went. I think that has a lot to do with that need for something. Like that, you're always trying to look for something. Like you feel like you need something all the time. A lot of that goes away, or at least it did for me. So I've been still obsessing a bit over the uptick in crime here, and I think I kind of hit on something with the shift change downtown. What I talked about was how a lot of the older dealers down there, the old Islander guys, you know, guys we knew that had been working in that industry for a long time, that were known by everyone around there, that just locals, you know, they were all busted, like all around the same time. Now it was like, I guess from the outside it looked like it was, well, looked like a sting, but a major sting, like a massive, like they got everybody. There was this one guy, right, that he's an older island guy. He used to sit on a bench over by the convention center, and this is how long he'd been doing it and how commonplace it was. He would just sit on the bench, and if a car pulled up at the lights and like looked over at him, he'd just walk over. You know, everyone, it was like that, you know. So a lot of these guys had been out there a long time, and I'm sure they knew there was activity. I mentioned before the black market, flea market is what we used to call it, an area over by the courthouse, ironically, where you were able to wheel and deal in a little area there. As long as you weren't doing them out in the open, they allowed people to do their business there. The idea, I think, was to keep them from spreading out all over downtown. But yeah, that was allowed to happen. Every once in a while, the drug van would come through, but people would know it was coming. And everyone there had their own kind of same spot too. Oh, that's the lady with those pills. This guy over in the South Cove, the one in the wheelchair, he's the guy that does this. So it was like a thing. This has been going on for a long time. So all these people, I don't know about the black market, flea market specifically, but I know all the guys like around the park. You probably know the park I'm talking about. Yeah, park. I mean, come on. The all around that area, all those guys that were doing business there were busted, taken out. However, they were replaced. They were replaced like a shift change with all these other guys. And they weren't from here. They were all a certain type, very gangster type, like a inner city type characters, young guys, maybe like LA looking guys, or how do I do this? Like that, right? So anyway, they're replaced with all these guys, and they picked up their business and they just started vending for the people that were thrown in jail. And I remember how bizarre that was, like hearing about that, and then, you know, going around the area with my friends and having it pointed out to me. I was like, wow. I'm like, this seems like a CIA type of thing. And I felt at the time that perhaps they just wanted to get a better handle on the drug trade here, because CIA is very much into the drug trade. If you've ever done drugs, you can thank them. So maybe they weren't as close to the islanders, or not working with the islanders at all. I don't know. But this shift change happened. You're just trying to get through the lights. Yep. Yeah, he's not going fast. He just wants people to get out of his way. That's kind of like how the cops are here too. And again, you won't see any cops up here because cops don't come up here. Why would they? This is only the place where all the money comes in, where all the money is. You know, why would they be here? You know. So anyway, I mentioned that since the lockdowns, things have changed a bit, and it has changed. People are a little bit more, less patience, more agitation. As far as the street people, a lot more desperation, a lot more aggression. But while all that's true, I was noticing changes before the lockdowns. Noticing people in the neighborhood that didn't look like, they certainly weren't from here, but they didn't look like tourists either. And it wasn't just me. My neighbors talked about it. Friends mentioned it. Like, you know, where are all these dudes coming from? A lot of young males with sort of that gangster kind of look. It was the first time I saw someone walking around with a preamp to play music. Like he was coming up the street with this little thing where he had a preamp on it, just cranking this sort of bad hip hop. New hip hop is so terrible, man. It's all about dicks. You know, it's all about dicks. You know, guys roll up in cars playing that shit, and it's like old women standing around, young kids, and my dick is in the club, and my dick, and my dick, and my dick. It's like, dude, we know. You're into dicks. Good. You should do well here. But, yeah, so we started noticing these kind of guys. Now, I lived in a very, very inner city type place for about 10 years. Lawrence, Massachusetts. It's pretty much the hood. I never had a problem there, but it was more a Latino community mostly, although it was all types. So I kind of know what that kind of look is like, and what that kind of you know, not trying to talk about judging what someone comes from on looks, because believe me, I look like a fucking, you know. I have my own aesthetics that's kind of weird, you know. So, but yeah, we just didn't have that here. And I remember telling my wife when we moved here, you know, thinking we were only going to be here like a year or two. I remember telling her, she grew up here too, so she knew the area as well. And I was like, I'm really glad we're kind of away from that kind of thing, and you know, I don't have to dodge these kind of people or this kind of thing, or avoid guys doing this. She's like, yeah, no, you won't see all that here. Until we did. Until we started seeing that. And this was before the lockdowns. Like I said, like a lot of young single guys with the uniform on, like I am involved in some kind of crime and or drugs. You know, and again, I'm not trying to judge people how they look. You know, I look a weird. But I don't. I look like I'd probably be into robbing graves. I don't look like you know, I'm into. Oh, possibly drugs too. But I don't look like I'm gonna rob you. I don't think anyway. So yeah, that we're noticing more people like that at night over by my house. When it would get darker, there would just be dudes standing around by themselves on corners and stuff, or dotted along the road. And I remember thinking, like, what the fuck is going on here? Where are all these guys from? You know, usually with here, right? It costs a lot of money to live here. Most expensive U.S. state. Nothing's cheap here. I mean, so you know, to live here, if you're not making a certain amount of money, you have to be on. Why would you do this? Gonna ride through the fucking light, idiot. You have to be on some kind of a program, like a government program. And Lord knows the Native Islanders, they have trouble keeping those too. I mean, some of those people have been pushed out of programs. I watched a YouTube documentary where a Native Island woman had started a community out in the woods so they could live, you know. But they've been doing it to Native Islanders for what, 100 years now. This is still the Kingdom of Hawaii. This is not, it's not officially a U.S. anything. It was never annexed. So it's an occupied territory, basically, still. And so I'm like, well, they're not getting a lot, because they say that system is overtaxed. You know, the welfare system, they say the welfare system and all the, like, food stamps, housing, it's overtaxed. They're always saying we don't have enough, you know, we're only an island. Well, I'm seeing all these new people, I'm like, there's no fucking way these people are making the kind of bank to rent or buy here. They have to be on some kind of government program. So why are the Islanders having trouble getting that money? But these guys must be getting that money, right? Now, if they brought all those dudes over, right, to do the shift change, and they absolutely did. They came from somewhere. They came from somewhere. And this is before the lockdowns. Then, did they bring them all over by themselves? Or was there like a family? Did families come with them? I don't know. You do see mainly young guys that fit this kind of description. And again, you just know. Like, a glass eye up a fucking duck's ass can see what I'm talking about. You just know. I've been around it. I know it's. I know. You don't have to take my word for it, but you know, you probably should. So so that was going on before the lockdowns. When the lockdowns came, man, it was like that displaced a lot of people. I stopped seeing a lot of people, homeless people and people that lived here, like residents here, gone. That I just didn't see anymore. A lot of people I used to hang out with. Like, I used to leave my house and just walk down toward the beach and just run into people I knew and just kind of hang out. And then I'd see other people I knew and then go hang out. You know, it just kind of moved around. Because when you live here, it's like most of the people walking around are part of a transient population. They're tourists. They're coming and going. So you can kind of filter out who lives here after a while just by people you see all the time. Like, oh, I recognize that guy's face. He must live here. And then you figure that shit out. Well, the lockdowns moved a lot of people around. You know, some people couldn't afford their rent anymore because they didn't have any money, right? I mean, I know a lot of people that had to leave because, you know, they couldn't work. And the state here got all the federal money, right? Because, you know, remember when they gave everybody free money? Check this out. And you can look at this if you search through Google search, you can see it all. They got all the money from the federal government, and they just fucking didn't hand it out. They kept giving excuses like, well, we don't have enough people working, we don't have enough state workers here. They handed it out. So then they hired a bunch of people, and then they're like, well, no, we have to train these state workers. They were holding on to the money. You know, we had to go through it. Me and my wife had to go through it. We finally got it. Well, no, I'm still owed money. I'm still owed money. I didn't get the last one. But it was such a struggle to get the money from the state of Hawaii, even though they had it, even though we're sitting on it, it was really hard to get. They were making you jump through hoops. They had a place, was at the convention center, where they were supposedly processing the stuff, and they had armed guards there to keep people out. Here's the thing about Hawaii. That's a lot of what happens to federal money comes here, and everybody goes, ooh, okay, I'm gonna take some, and everybody puts their hand in it, and they try to figure out how to hide some of it. And so when they got all this money in at once from the federal government, they all lost their minds, probably. All these guys with their fancy pants that live up in the gated communities lost their minds. Be like, wow, you know how many Tommy Bahama shirts I could get with this kind of money? Yeah. And they just held it for a long time. And while it's sitting in there, you know, it's accruing interest. I come from Massachusetts. I used to think that was the most corrupt state you could live in. That place has nothing on Hawaii. Everyone is running a scam here, from the corner store to the tallest building downtown. Everyone's got some kind of hustle going. And I think the reason is because a bit of a lack of oversight here. It's far enough away from the mainland, so it's like substitute teacher day here every day. The substitute teachers in, no one's going to listen to them. You know, the people that run a lot of these companies or organize a lot of the financial interests here, their main guys aren't here. And I think as long as people are running the show, I think they're allowed to take some stuff. Look at all the arrests for corruption that the state has had. Police chiefs, county inspector, just down the list. Everybody has been caught putting their hand in somebody else's pocket at some point. Now, yeah, of course it's going on in other states too, but it's how things run here. You know, it's happening with Bishop Museum now. And I can't say I'm sad to see that happen because I don't have any love for the Bishop Museum. That's another story though. Yeah, so they got that money, that federal money, and man, do they make people jump through hoops. And some people in the time waiting for it had to leave. You know, they had kids that needed food, and but the government gave them money, and they were just sitting on it, just blatantly lying. Like, now the convention center's too small. We have to hire new people. Then the people came in. Then they had to. Then it was, we have to train these people, and then it was, no, we have to move the facility because we have too many people now. If I'm lying, I'm dying. You can find this information. So these articles are out there. So yeah, they decided, hey, we always take federal money. We always get federal money. We should. This is a big payday for us now. So, but doing their scumbaggery, their low intellect scumbaggery, and it is low intellect. That's why a lot of them get caught. A lot of people had to leave. But there wasn't a change in numbers anyway. There wasn't a population drop. If you look at the population, if you look at the population numbers. But I know people left. You know, you can kind of uncover that information yourself, and just from, you know, there's plenty of stories written about, you know, local family has to leave their business and move into Las Vegas, blah, blah, blah. It was a thing. It was definitely happening. But there was no population hit. So it's almost like they had a bit of a replacement. So maybe that downtown drug dealer replacement thing was a much larger program. Violent crime up 40%. Assaults, robberies, gun violence. We didn't have that shit before. It was very, very rare. Very, very rare. And that started before the lockdowns. We're seeing that. Brazen sort of robberies in stores, daylight stuff. Things they had never seen here before. And I remember talking to people that have lived here a long time, and they're like, yeah, we've never seen anything like this. So I don't know. I'm just kind of putting things together. Something to think about. If you've ever been here to my channel, you know that I'm kind of autistic with this shit. Like, I end up obsessing about things and then usually burn out on it and forget all about it. But I'm gonna keep digging on this. I think, unfortunately, the next step to really get some conclusive answers is probably my least favorite thing: talking to people. Talking to people I don't know. You know, it would be helpful. Like, hey, you know, talk to some of these guys. You know, next time they come up to me to ask me if I want to buy any drugs. Oh, no. Or, I know how to work that. But try to find out, like, hey, where are you from? How long you lived here? Where are you from? Oh, your family moved here? Oh, where? When? Oh, yeah? Yeah. Where you live? Oh, yeah, cool. Just, you know, how is it you came to come here? How is it you came to come here? How is it you came to come here? You know what I'm saying, though? Is this all just schizo stuff? Yeah, maybe. But, you know, maybe it's not. You know, maybe it's not. Don't blame the teacher. Blame the school.